5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
All right, we're back. Welcome back to Go Get Your Shine Box. And I was looking at some stuff this week and saw some chyrons across the screen on Newsmax and a couple other stations. Fox bans Trump, and I'm thinking, what what is this all about? So, lo and behold, try to do a little research into it, and it wasn't as quite as advertised. More of a shadow ban. Here's a little something from actually the New York Times report that Fox has not had Donald Trump on its network for over 100 days. The paper said as part of a larger strategy to eliminate the former president as a major GOP player. So as it turns out, it's more, like I said, maybe a shadow ban. Trump's last appearance on Fox was on Hannity, I believe, back in April. But suddenly, Fox is looking at the New York Times piece, and they're turning around and they're saying, well, if the New York Times is calling us out on this, we might have to do something about it. So I wouldn't be surprised after all this hubbub that we find that they actually end up bringing him back for an interview. But there's also a piece out there, and I couldn't bring the clip up because it was more visual, and it not only did it put Trump in the back seat, it brought DeSantis up front. Not saying that he's a bad candidate. But it was a little overboard as far as that goes. So that being said, that there's a let me see if I can pick up this clip here. This is from Catherine Underwood, just this morning, I believe. Since the presidency ended, Donald Trump's relationship with former staunch ally Fox News Channel has continued on the decline. And of course, this reporting is kind of wacky because Trump had a relationship with Roger Ailes, not Rupert Murdoch. I believe the Murdochs, I forget what the son's name was. I think the Murdochs were forced into it after Trump won in 2016. It's not like they had a love relationship with him in the very beginning.
Yeah, I think they were anti-Trump. Everybody was anti-Trump. They just, he was so different. It was almost like a knee-jerk reaction,
Yeah, I heard one guy put it this way. Murdoch, being a New York City billionaire, didn't like the fact that another New York City billionaire, was going to get the nod. And I don't know. I don't know if the money changes you or you're already an ass before you have the money. But just recently, Fox snubbed Trump by not airing his live speech. But they did air that 17-minute Mike Pence speech too, which is a blatant slap in the face.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there is a concerted effort to push the Republican Party towards DeSantis or Pence. I mean, Pence running is ridiculous. Pence will never be president.
No.
I don't know who convinced him. It could be just an op to try and drain away monetary support from Trump. But Trump shouldn't even face a primary anywhere.
No.
They should all just be called, no sense wasting money on a primary, wasting time. Just everybody sign up for Trump.
Let's don't like him. They don't want him. They don't like him. They don't want him. He's against their... Yeah. We seem to forget, well, maybe people don't understand, that there really is not much difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. When Trump talked about draining the swamp, that was all of them. Yeah. They don't want him because they're all corrupt. It's not just the Democrats. The Democrats happen to be worse than the Republicans, but they're all garbage. And Trump's not on anybody's side. He's on the side of the people. But our government doesn't care about the people.
No, basically, it's always been a power grab, or a money grab, or both.
Yeah.
But
yeah, well, that's how you know. That's how you know that Trump. That's how my metric for measuring how good Trump is how much the sleazy, degenerate, corrupt, both sides, media, uh, intelligence agencies, all of it. They hate him I mean, there's a reason we call it Trump derangement syndrome. He has broken their minds. And just that fact, to know what kind of people hate him, is good enough for me. And I think Trump leaves a lot to be desired. I think he's too much of a Democrat, too much of a civic nationalist. But the guy that I want doesn't even walk the planet, as far as I can tell.
well, that goes without saying. If we had that guy, that we wouldn't have any need for anybody. But
Yeah,
the when Reagan came in after Jimmy Carter, I mean, I want to say the same but different. I mean, you had a Hollywood figure. He obviously had the political background, but he came in because the country needed
yeah,
that. Whether or not they necessarily bought what he was selling that really wasn't the issue. The country needed that, and he was the one that was going to do it. You obviously weren't going to vote for a Jimmy Carter again. That would be
Right.
ridiculous. And in this case, you're obviously not going to vote for Biden again because there's no way he's running. Not even if he has an electric wheelchair, is he going to run?
So they gotta put somebody in there that they can control. They can still control the narrative to lean in their direction, and they're
Oh,
not.
yeah.
exactly.
They won't get that with Trump.
I wouldn't dismiss the possibility that Biden runs again. Remember what we thought during the primaries. You got to be kidding me, Joe Biden. I mean,
Well,
come on.
yeah. Honestly, I thought the same thing when
Right.
Obama popped up. So yeah.
Yeah, and Obama the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, Obama was a plant. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. He was
Yeah.
manufactured.
Right.
You know, by the same America hating people that put. It's the same people running the country as under Obama.
It is, and later on, I'm going to play a clip, an old clip from George Carlin, and it's going to sum some of that up and link to stuff that we're going to do next week.
Yeah.
But that's a little more from Rudy Giuliani. He says Fox News shadow ban of former President Donald Trump shows it is feeding into the anti-Trump propaganda of the House January 6th. I don't know why they call it that. The House January 6th Select Committee liars over the Trump truth tellers, says Rudy. I don't know how they're buying into the January 6th committee fraud. I mean, completely fraudulent committee. Giuliani said, look at the people on the January 6th committee are the same ones that told us that there was Russian collusion. Trump and I and the people at Fox apparently is banning says there wasn't any Russian collusion. The people running the January 6th committee were lying about that. And I mean it goes on and on and on. Stuff
Yeah.
we've heard before. It's interesting because the method of the left is to keep repeating the same lie and people believe it. And, it's an Alinsky tactic and other.
It works. It works.
Yet Rudy's been spouting this stuff with stacks of actual documentation, and it's interesting because they can still they take the same tactic and turn it around and make him look like he's a nut.
Yep.
I always thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, I've had this argument with so many people. It's the narrative. That's if you've got all of media, print, television, radio, entertainment, then you're backed up by all the social media companies, Google, you name it. You have all that.
You combine that with people that I don't want to say that are stupid, but people that really don't care too much. They're really not that involved, and it's like it's the path of least resistance, and they just go with that.
Yeah, that's part of it is the social conditioning.
Yeah.
What's the name of that experiment where people will change their beliefs just to get along? That's part of it, and certainly whether it's artificial intelligence or they have some sort of um, uh, rhetorical wizard, some sort of hypnotist that knows how to bend people's minds, knows how to shape the narrative, and then after that, all you need is repetition. And as for the January 6th committee, I mean, they hired a Hollywood producer to produce. It's a show. This is Kafka like show trial stuff.
Well, it is a Russian show trial, and the problem is there's actually, back to Joe's point, there's actually people that are taking this hook, line, and sinker. Like, this is a representation of our court system run by Congress.
Yeah, because it has to be, because run by Congress. It has to be.
Yet there's not one piece of opposing information being introduced or evidence. It's fascinating to me. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure I've watched enough TV to know. Hey, wait, it's called point counterpoint. Where's the counterpoint?
Yeah, but after 2 minutes of watching, nobody even thinks of that anymore. They're engaged with the play,
the production.
Yeah, the production.
Yeah, which it's interesting, and then they're even advertising it as a cliffhanger. Oh, the September issue is coming out. Can't wait for the September issue, like it's another episode of The Sopranos,
right,
or something.
And going to Joe's point, it's not the intelligence level. There are plenty of intelligent people who have fallen for this ridiculous, and still now. I mean, look at all the think tankers and smart people, economists. Oh, we're not in a recession. Did you hear Paul Krugman over the weekend?
Oh my God.
They're falling for this Ukraine thing.
Yeah.
Once the machine gets going, that overrides any innate intelligence.
No, it's a metaphoric Tiananmen Square tank.
Yeah.
And it really is kind of crazy, because you can no longer rely on standard definitions of anything, because we all know what the definition of a recession actually is. And then then to come to find out there's actually a political body that has to decide, and it's a delayed forecast, so the actual recession numbers and the actual claim of recession won't come out till next year.
Yeah.
So that the clowns like that Pierre, whatever the frig her name is, that the affirmative hire, she can sit there and lie with impunity. I thought Jen Psaki, and I don't want to deviate from this point, but I thought Jen Psaki was a redheaded clown. This little freaking triple time affirmative action hire is one of the most inept freaking liars I've ever seen. And she does it while looking at a book. Let me find the tab for that. Let me find the tab lie for that. And she pulls, there's topics that say, okay, lie now. It's just as bad as Biden reading the directions on the teleprompter.
It's very entertaining and humorous to watch Ducey question her, and it's so funny.
We're not building the wall. Wait a minute, you're building the wall. No, we're not building the wall. We're saving lives.
Yes, and I don't even know how that's semantically even close. Okay, I mean, I get politics, and I get you don't answer questions because nobody really wants to know the real answer, but it doesn't even jive.
Well, as somebody who has studied IQ a little bit, it is my considered opinion that she has approximately an 85 IQ, which is barely above the level needed to follow instructions, like she's reading from her book. That's why she can't contemporaneize. She can't speak off the cuff, because she doesn't have the processing power to do it. All she can do is parrot.
Yeah, well, I'm not even sure she can parrot.
Can't argue with that.
I'm not really sure what kind of parrot she's parroting, but anyway, yeah, that's. I don't want to get off the topic too far, but it all blends together, because the way they lie ties in with the way Trump is being scrubbed.
Yeah.
And we talked about it this earlier, and I thought it was a big deal. I still think it's a big deal. Some people aren't going to, he's off another social platform, but for crying out loud, there aren't any anymore. Okay. So if Fox isn't putting him on, it's a pretty piss poor country when you can't find any major news outlet to put the president of the United States, former president or president that's going to be run. If he does run, which he probably will, that's going to be historic in itself. That's a story in itself. And the only thing CNN is doing is rubbing its little sleazy claws together, saying, "Ooh, we'll have 4 more years of material."
Sorry, CNN is rubbing its cloven hooves together.
Well, yeah, okay, claws, cloven hooves, yeah, that'll work. That'll work too. But anyway, I was talking to Joe earlier about. He was talking about. I'm going to bring it up, Joe, so you can talk about it again. Some of your friends talking about not necessarily wanting Trump for whatever the reason, whether they voted for him or not.
Yeah, they think that they all like him. They're all Trumpers, but they don't want him to run because he causes too much trouble. It's too much. His personality and that kind of stuff. And it's but it's all stuff that's been driven. They hear this constantly from the media saying this, and they just buy into it.
And these are would you consider them moderates or
no? Trumpers. I mean, pretty.
Okay.
Pretty.
Hold on.
People that are really. One guy was showing me videos of his kids, his two son-in-laws playing golf with Trump this weekend, and he goes, I really don't want to see Trump win because it's just too much. I'm
wow.
like, yeah.
So well, there's a saying. I'm going to bastardize it, but people will accept peaceful servitude over dangerous freedom or something along those lines.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And they just want things to be calm. It doesn't matter if we don't have a real country or a real government or they're fascists or no. Dictatorial, tyrannical, whatever you want to call what's going on. Just let me be. I don't want to have to stick my head up. It might get swiped. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they're probably the same people that sit at the job and they sit in the cubicle and they never get a raise and they never get a position because they never ask for it and they don't want confrontation and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Because it's a personality thing. I think it's in your DNA myself, but that's the way you go through life. But it apparently doesn't take much. And and I've had discussions with people on like the Truth Social stuff, if you want to call them discussions. The loony left is either on there trolling or there's some moderate lefts that are like, well, why do you worship Trump? And I don't know where that term comes from or if it's a deliberate troll. But like you said earlier, Paul, Trump ran for office years ago and I thought it was a joke. When he won this time and he came in and knocked out his list of promises in the less than 100 days.
Yeah.
Everybody knew he meant business.
Yeah.
And I guess it's my personality or my makeup or whatever to drop the crap and see, holy crap, this guy's doing stuff. And he's funny.
Yes.
Maybe, I thought he was funny and he added something to the boring, life of politics. And, I was always for the underdog besides all my life. So, that was a little extra boost if you want to call it billionaire an underdog. But in the political realm,
and he certainly was.
Yeah. So what did we get out of it? He sacrificed his reputation and we ended up getting a slight bit of clarity. Although if you're tied to a train track and you have a blindfold on, does it make it any less dangerous than if you can see the train coming? I don't know. But
well, I'll tell you, he even if he doesn't run or doesn't get elected, he changed the world. There should be a monument built on whatever spot he first called out the fake news.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 years ago, people, at least for the large part, believed that the news was truthful.
Yeah.
Trump did that.
I have an idea. They can do a bronze statue of Trump peeing on Obama's head.
Like the eternal pee.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
and then the stream of urine could be illuminated in red, white, and blue.
Perfect. Maybe we could get Biden in there somehow too. Like,
well, it just depends on
Biden is.
Well, you can then you can have Obama.
Thank you.
Because we weren't laughing enough, I guess. I don't know. I just felt
you could just have Obama peeing on Biden, like a chain, like Obama, like a fountain, You know,
Obama would be peeing on America.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Well, hey, I really respect Obama's position on global warming. I really do. That's, in fact, if I had an extra 14 million, I'd buy a house on the coast too. You know, so.
Anyway, we're getting kind of far afield. Let's go back to Trump and being deplatformed. What happens if he runs? What happens if he declares that he's running? Say, I would assume he would do it after the midterms.
That would be that's the conventional wisdom. Yes.
Yeah. They probably start like trying to press charges against him for anything they could figure.
I mean they're looking at that now. I mean I thought it was a joke, and you know a lot of people are like, no, they would never go that far. You know, I'm like, have you met the
Adam Schiff? Yeah.
Listen. Not only would they not go that far, I would not, and I don't care who's listening to this. I would not put it past them assassinating him because that's what they do. You know, our government assassinated Kennedy. Why wouldn't they? You know, why wouldn't they assassinate another president? You know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they would lock him up before they would assassinate him. All they got to do is all they got to do is bring charges and have a trial in Washington D.C. He's automatically guilty.
But there's no lockup. There's never going to be a lockup. Nobody ever wanted to lock him up. They just want to prevent him, humiliate him, and legally prevent him from running. But if you were sleeping with a Chinese spy, you know, and you're in Congress, you can stay on. You can stay in your position. You know, there's no problems there. So I mean, back to the injustice, but
only if you're a Democrat.
Exactly. But here's my take on this. They're doing this January 6th thing. They're going to try to do the charge thing. They're going to try to prevent him from running. Once he announces, the game over. Once he announces, everybody comes back to Trump to the degree that they did before. Fox folds. They bring him back in because Fox is going to lose ratings. I mean, just after this podcast alone, let's face it, they're going to lose 3 points.
Right.
So, that's right.
I mean, so they're going to lose ratings. And these Murdochs, that's what they're about. I don't care about when it comes right down to it, the extreme left, the ones with the Trump derangement syndrome, are the ones that will sacrifice money and power for their hatred, and that's an entirely different topic that I'm not qualified to talk about. Very few things I'm not qualified to talk about too, so I might add. But anyway,
well, all the media did that.
Yeah,
they all did it. They knew that their revenue would go down if they got rid of Trump, and they did it anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. I just don't think that's going to happen I think we're going to wind up back to status quo. And I believe, and I'm going to make another prediction that when Trump gets back into office, he's actually going to take my advice, like he should have done the first time, and he's going to do a blanket termination and gut everything out I think he's going to do his 4 years like he's a lame duck.
Will you be in the cabinet?
Probably this time. Probably. Yeah. Okay. I have to brush up on my golf game though. So I don't know anything about golfing except how to drive the cart.
I'll get you an attachment for your AR so you can launch golf balls.
Yeah, that's it.
A shout out to Jim for calling himself out as a supporter of the status quo, something that has not been seen in a long, long time.
Yeah.
I mean, status quo went out the window years ago.
Yeah.
There is no more status quo. But if you think it's coming back, all right, maybe.
Well, I mean, I hate to break the Latin out, but to the degree that it was formulated prior to him coming down the escalator, and the phase right between that and the time that we found out everybody in DC is full of crap, and they're out for self-preservation. But I don't know. I think if he gets in, people are gonna change. There's gonna be a change. People are gonna go to jail. I don't think he's gonna play nice like he did with Hillary, because that was like you were talking about, Paul. I could make a list of things I didn't agree with Trump. I don't. I'm a pro-American, and it pisses me off when people say, "Oh, MAGA, 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 make America great again." There's nothing anti-American about that. In fact, it's an American first policy and platform. It's nothing to do with Trump. He just happened to be the guy that pulled the trigger on, no pun intended.
Right.
So
But MAGA is the number one. That's the number one thing that's going to take our country down. That's what all the news is telling us.
Yeah. Well,
they haven't. They got MAGA, and they've got Ultra MAGA.
Ultra MAGA.
Yeah. But they have not yet met Dark MAGA.
Well,
super double ultra dark MAGA.
Yeah. I am Dark MAGA.
There you go. I mean, that's that you give like that other pansy outfit with the flag a run for their money, But I wear Ultra MAGA, but that's another show. So
I've been called Ultra MAGA, but that's yet another show.
That's another one. That might have to be after hours.
I've been called things that I don't know if I can say on this podcast.
No, we'd have to click that box.
You'd have to clip that section out. Yes.
Yeah. And there's a box for adult content or but I don't want to click that because I like to incorporate the entire audience.
Family friendly.
Yes. Family friendly. There will be a little clip we're playing later. We'll have to do a little warning. If there's any children in the room, they might want to leave if they're offended by the F word. But it's all in a comedic.
Carlin.
Yeah, he can't help himself.
Yeah, that's we're a Christian family friendly outfit. We don't want unlike Democrats, we do not wish to bespoil the innocence of childhood.
By killing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how we haven't risen up just for what's going on against children, I don't know.
That alone, yeah. Again, put a pin in that because that alone warranted some serious
response. Yeah,
I think that countrywide, though, I think that really backfired, and I think that most of the people, or a lot of people in this country, are pushing back against the teachers' unions and all this crap that they tried to pull. It came out. And now it's like now they can't put it back in a box, and most parents are up in arms about it and doing something about it.
Oh, children!
There is some grassroots movement for sure.
There is, but you think they're going to lay down? These people?
No, of course not. Of course not. They're not going to lay down. But parents are fighting. They're not going to allow it.
What they're doing is they're subtly rewriting the curriculum to pass under the radar. Mm-hmm. They have professional groups.
And what's happened, I agree, I understand that, but people are taking their kids and putting them in private schools and are homeschooling them. They're going around it.
Yeah,
they're not dealing with it.
That's a good thing, and that's been that was one of my hopes at the beginning of COVID, is that the public education system would be damaged or destroyed. But the bottom line is public education needs to be raised to the ground, all of it.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Well, I believe the National Education Association is an illegal entity anyway. It shouldn't even be in existence.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I'd have to do a little more research on that before I spit out some fake news. But
they're probably the largest Democrat donor in the country. So,
or as I like to call it, a money laundering scam.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. But
you just do a comparison between administrative costs and actual spending per child, and on books and whatever, and it's ridiculous. It's hockey stick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we didn't have. When was the National Education Association formed, or public school? It was like in the I don't know, not that long ago.
No, 60s, I believe.
60s,
wasn't it?
maybe?
Yeah. Because I did the mathematical computation. If you gave every child the money that we collected for them over the years, we'd all be millionaires.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
So it's but anyway, let's I'm going to segue in with a piece of music here because we're going to go to Yes. This is Paul's favorite part. We're going to call this the low-hanging fruit segment. Talking about some monkeypox.
The low-hanging fruits.
Yes, absolutely. Ever since that one comment you made, I didn't get that out of my head. But anyway, so basically, what we have here is monkeypox is now racist. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And I must say, I have to pat myself on the back. Hold on a second. I did call this. I did predict this clearly 2 days before it broke. But since the earliest days of the current global monkeypox outbreak, scientists and public health authorities have been calling for the disease to be renamed. Oh, that's total BS, okay? Arguing that it has a racist overtone and carries a stigma that will hinder efforts to stop its spread. This almost sounds like the AIDS thing, if you recall what they did in the 80s.
Yep.
In mid-June, WHO organizer Director General Tedros and his agency, which I didn't know we were beholden to, agreed that it'd be working with partners to rename the virus itself, the disease it causes, and two clades or strains of the virus, each named after parts of Africa where they're found. Okay, so apparently there's something wrong with using the word monkey virus. And again, I beat my head against the wall trying to figure out how that was racist. Furthermore, responsibility for naming or renaming virus, clades of viruses, and the disease those viruses cause rests in different sectors of the scientific stratosphere. That's interesting. But the virus actually, the species of virus is going to get a new name by, check this out, next June.
Yeah, MPX something, right?
Yeah, they're really expedient on this.
And by the way, the reason that it's racist is because obviously anybody who is thinking straight, when they realize that it was generated in monkeys and came from Africa, there's an obvious conclusion how it jumped to the human population.
Sure. It was just like AIDS did. But I mean, and that was a proven fact, but we had to subdue that. That wasn't allowed.
Thou shalt not have sex with monkeys.
And in fact, our very own Tony Fauci had a big hand in swaying that away from the gay community because that was homophobic. Now this is racist, and what's going to happen, just like what happened with AIDS, because this is being labeled as something it isn't. People are going to die. That's exactly what happens. This is what they do. On Tucker Carlson has been accused of homophobia. And I have a clip.
You
as
do?
promised. Yes, I do.
Oh.
He's been accused of homophobia, okay? Being cruel after joking about changing the name of monkeypox. But he has a good point. And I'm just going to preface the clip by saying that, Tucker and everybody else, in that realm is about sick and tired of these people renaming and redefining stuff at their leisure, if you will. So that being said, they decided, well, after all, let's take a poll and we'll change it because let's get on the offensive. Let's quit throwing the ball, quit catching and start throwing. That's not a gay reference.
He's been going hard. I'll tell you. I saw this come across the wire and I couldn't believe it. I thought it might have been fake news. I'm like, there's no way. I got
you brought it up, but now live, well, as live as I could get it.
Monkeypox is about the coolest name ever for a disease. Can't come tonight, I got the monkey. But they are changing the name because racism or something. Well, for once, we don't know who they are. We're not going to allow it. We're going to change the name this time. We're going to do it with the public's help because democracy is real. So we had a vote. There was no ballot harvesting. You can trust our counting. And the new name for monkeypox is now officially, and we're declaring it, Schlong COVID. That won our audience election with about 40% of the vote. So let Rochelle Walensky at the CDC know.
And there you have it. Schlong COVID
Yes.
is now the new name for monkeypox.
Funny.
Can I list the runner-ups?
Absolutely.
Okay, we had Hunter Hives.
See, I don't know about that. I'm trying to figure out how that fits into the gay community.
But, well, it is Hunter. I mean, Joe.
Well, you never know. Yeah.
It looks like Joe goes both ways. I don't see why. As a matter of fact, him and Hunter. Well, what else we got? We got Adam Schiffless.
Okay,
that's good. Adam Schiffless.
There was one more that I can't remember.
That was good. Oh, what do you mean you can't remember?
I'm old, man. I got the dementia.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
You don't get to forget. So, yeah, we were worried about doing this too late. We all fall asleep. But anyway, that was the low-hanging fruit section. And it was low-hanging fruit, but it's funny as heck. And I think Tucker's got a point there. Why should we let them rename stuff?
Yeah.
But anyway.
I'll tell you, Tucker has been hot ever since they attacked his wife, the Antifa and all that.
Yeah.
And every time he does something like this, I like him more and more, And he's a good writer, or he's got good writers working for him. Really good stuff.
Unlike us, but he comes out of the gate like he doesn't have to have a job.
Yeah.
Like he's
which is probably true. He's probably making 8 figures a year for years now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The guy's making $30,000 a day.
Yeah.
So that's good for him. I mean, I enjoy it, and unless he he converts. I mean, I know there's some stuff he stays away from, but there's some stuff a lot of people stay away from in mainstream.
Yeah.
Unless he becomes a Murdoch, I don't see any reason.
Well, I mean, he's done a lot of things that you're not allowed to do. He went to talk to Bolsonaro. He went to Viktor Orban in Hungary, talking about keeping out the invaders.
Yeah.
The black migrants from Africa that are trying to get into the country. He's talked about white replacement.
Yep. And he's never worn the dreaded lapel pin from Ukraine.
So, yeah.
I mean, they were coming after him hard for that. But anyway, gonna kind of wrap up with a segment here. And again, it's not something I ordinarily wanted to do, but I was listening to this, and it's going to be a teaser, sort of, kind of, into the next couple of shows. I think we're going to do maybe a 2-part series on some other.
Yeah, we'll come up with something. It'll be we're going to teach you what your government really is, and what some of these people are willing to do.
Yeah, the government we don't know, you might say. And to listen to this clip, and then we can comment briefly on it and roll it up. But
let's get your children out of the room first.
Yeah, you might want to get the kids out. It's not too bad, but it's about 3 minutes long. But it nails it. And this is a comedian, and I'm not sure he'd survive today. But here it goes.
There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The big, the wealthy, the real owners, the big, wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. They're irrelevant. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big media news, all the big media companies. So they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. You know something? They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hardworking people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hardworking people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on. The fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Well, you would
Man,
think that
he
was
nailed it.
Yeah. That was over 10 years ago.
I know. I remember that when it was when that was current. But
Joe, it is current.
I know there's so much. It's so much truth in that. It's like it's not comedy, yet they're laughing about it. It's really not comedy.
No, it's a commentary.
Yeah, and all comedy has truth in it. So.
Contrast that to today's. Now, anybody that listened to that, now you think what's his name is edgy? You think Bill Barr's edgy, Burr, right. Or you think what's his name?
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, you think Dave Chappelle's edgy now?
Yeah.
No, that was edgy, And I got to be honest with you, I'm surprised he died of old age.
Or did he?
Yeah, or did he? Yeah. But anyway, but there you go. I mean, that sums it up and give you a little teaser into hopefully some.
Yes, we're going to have something very exciting coming up. I don't know if it'll be a two-parter or it could even be longer, but we'll try to break you in gently. I know a lot of you virgins out there still believe that. We are living in the country that our founders created, but it is no longer so. And Ike warned us.
Yep.
And JFK, RFK. All right, we'll get into that.
We'll get into it. Yeah, I was even thinking about some of the Federalist Papers and then the way they were written versus what we see today. Yeah. So it's a mess.
And then we can do the final podcast that gets us banned from everywhere. We'll call it the final solution. This will be our thoughts on how to fix everything.
I'd kind of like to do that like after we get monetized.
We're never make it to monetization.
You know what? Some crazy bastard just like us is going to hear this, only he's going to have money and say, "Damn, son, what you got there?" So that's what it'll take. Fellas, from Central Florida, I'm signing off. Have a good night.
You too, Jim.
Take care.
Good night.
Behind the Iron Curtain here in New Jersey.
Indeed. The Doctor of Doom. the local historian, and Joe, the voice of reason. Now, good night.
Good night now.
Good night, everybody.
Take care. This thing's still on?
Yeah, it's on.
All right.
Good night.